everybody, welcome back to the channel. I've had a few people ask me how it is that I make my bread. I do sandwich loaves, hamburger buns, and hot dog buns. So that's what this video is. I use a bread maker to mix the dough and proof the dough, but then I place it in loaf pans, and I'll show you all that to make it. But let's start with ingredients first. So, making a little, look at this. Found those at Goodwill years ago. Well, this is my salt. I use pink Himalayan salt. Well, I guess if I'm going to start right, I need to get water first. So, it's faded. It's old, but I do about in between a cup and a fourth. You always want to do less water because you can put water back in it if the dough is too dry and sticky, or just too not moist enough. So I always go under a cup and a fourth. And that's just regular room temperature water. Nothing special about it. And now for the salt. And I do, oh, no, that's my tablespoon. There we go. I do a teaspoon of salt. And I put it off to one side. And we're going to do sugar next, and I put sugar on the other side. We'll use this again. If you're using your same scoop that you used for your salt, for your yeast, when it comes time, you want to wipe it off so that way none of the salt gets into the yeast container. Sugar. I use canned sugar, and there's I do 3 tablespoons. I don't perfectly measure it out. I just kind of eyeball it. And then I will use this for the oil, which comes next. I use peanut oil. I know some people wouldn't want to use peanut oil. You can use any oil you want. I did try it with olive oil one time, and it was a little oilier. So if you're going to use olive oil, you might want to just do 2. But I do 3. And again, I don't make it perfect. I don't get crazy heavy-handed on it, but I do it perfect. And then I just keep this out, and I usually put it in my measuring cup because I'm making a couple of different loaves, so everything will get reused again. Now for the flour, I use bread flour, and I use in between 17 and 18 ounces of it, which equals out to about just over 2 cups. And where is my, there it is. I do have measuring cups, but I just like doing it this way. And I just pour it out. And anywhere between 17 and 18 ounces. There we go, so it's 17.67. I'll just leave that in there since I need to use it again. And same with this. I done made a mess. So, when it comes to yeast, I use, there we go. I'm not going to try to pronounce that, but I use bread machine yeast. Since it's being mixed and proofed in there, you can use regular yeast. It's just going to take you a lot longer to get it to rise the way you want it to, and I found that if you activate it first with the not instant yeast, I'm not sure what they would call it. If you activate it first in a little warm water, it'll work better. But I use the bread machine yeast, and it's about 2 1/4 tablespoons, or not tablespoons, do not do tablespoons, teaspoons, smaller ones, teaspoons. And again, I don't perfectly measure it out, I just kind of eyeball it. And then put this back in the fridge. And we put it in here. Now mine has a dough setting, so it'll take about an hour and a half, but it will mix it and do a couple different proofs, and then I will show you the next step. Alright. Now, the dough is done, so we're going to make sandwich bread. Cut this out. And there it is. You can see how it can fall off the sides. And a little bit of flour onto this is a cutting board, so move that around and drop it down. There'll be, if you're ever using this, there's still a little bit of dough down here. You can get what you can out of it, but if you put water in it and let it soak for a few minutes, you can get the slosh it around a little bit, and you can get the dough out and get it ready for the next. Some flour on my hands, and then I have over here a little bit of oil and a paper towel, and I'm just going to rub it on the inside. Each, if you get a little flour in there, it's all good. Put it over there. A little more. Now, we go cutter. Break it off into two and slide this one over. And then I flip it over just so it's got flour on both sides. Make sure I'm not blocking it so you'll see. And then I just roll it. Not a tight roll. Now you can take the sides and fold them in. I like the way it looks like that. And then just drop it in. And do the same to the next one. Every once in a while you get a little bit of flour that didn't get mixed in. I just pick that off. And it doesn't have to be perfect. And just roll it. And squeeze it so that it sticks together. And then I'll put that part down. And now we'll put them in the oven to proof. I have a proof setting on my stove. It heats up to 75 degrees and it cuts the proofing time in half. But if you don't have that, you can leave it sitting out on the counter for a couple hours and it'll double in size. And then you can bake it at 350 for 22 minutes. So using the same recipe, we're going to make hamburger buns. We need a little flour. Sprinkle down on there. Now we're going to use a big pan. I think this would be a 14. Pushing down on it hard because you want to keep it kind of fluffy. And then pick it up and flip it and pull in, kind of stretching it. Let me find my. So I don't worry about making them perfectly round like the ones you get at the grocery store. Cut them about like that. And then into threes. And then just kind of, some of them wind up smaller. But we make our own hamburgers. So these usually work just fine for them. Now line them in the tray. 3. Instead of using these as hamburger buns, you can also use these as like rolls. They're good with soup. And it usually makes about anywhere between 9 and 11, maybe 12 sometimes. I don't bother shaping them. I'm just leave them. Now these like little pieces at the end, you can kind of fold them over and make them a little square. Just kind of pinch it so that it stays together. So that one made, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, it made 10. And now I'll put it into the oven and let it bake. Or I'll let it proof and then we'll let it bake. Okay, so doing the hot dog buns. There we go. I had to remember which one we were working on. So I use a smaller one. We are looking at a 9x8. Okay, so I do it kind of like I do the hot dog buns. Let me find my. There it is. This. Oh, okay. So, and you dump it. When you dump it, you want to try to. It's not dire that it happens, but make it kind of longer instead of a pile. Takes a little bit of time. Let's see. There we go. Just nice and slow as it falls out. You'll get more hamburger or hot dog buns that way.
Hey, Mama.
Alright, back to it now. So, it's a little sticky on top. I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of flour. Make sure I have it on my hands and kind of pat it on. A little bit more, not a lot, just enough to make it so it's too. First, we gotta make sure we grease this. little bit of flour. There we go. Alright, so just like, let me move this up a little bit. Just like when we were making the hamburgers, I cut them kind of in squares. These ones, I just kind of cut long. And then I don't really do anything special to them. Maybe square up the ends a little bit. Oh, this is sticky. And then put it in the pan. I don't think I put flour down before I laid this. No, it does not look like it. If you forget to put flour down, stick some right there. And as you go, now it's flattened out a little bit more. And if that happens, you can cut it down the middle and do them like that, so that way they're a little more uniform. Or you can push it like that. They're probably not bad size. Sometimes with the dough, this dough proofed a couple more times than normal, so it's a little flimsier. Now, if you run out of space like I am, you can always use a different pan too. But I like using this one because it kind of helps them keep their shape. Where is my? Here we go. I'm going to use one of the loaf pans. And then this one, I lost its shape a little bit. You can also do breadsticks this way. It's all the same recipe. So I'll show you after they get done proofing. Okay, so the dough is done, and we're gonna actually make sub rolls for pizzas. And you can use the same dough, same recipe for the dough that we used earlier. I'll let that fall. And then I'll look. But before we put it down, we need to grab a little bit of flour. Just rub it around. Get it on my hands. This, you're going to want to put some oil on it. So I've got a little bit of oil. And we're just going to coat it so that way it doesn't stick. There we go. Mix around here again. Put it. There we go. Now there is some still stuck in here. Alright, so to do the sub rolls, I have no idea what this is actually called, but I call it the dough scraper. Get a little bit of flour on it flour won't really stick, but it'll help. So we're making the sub rolls. So put this, put that over there. And I don't really do anything fancy. Just kind of stretch it out a little bit and widen it. And just like the sandwich bread, you're gonna roll it up. And as I roll it, it gets a little longer. I'm not doing like a tight roll, I'm just wrapping it around. And then I'll pinch the seam. And you can tuck that in like that and pinch it closed if you want, or you can leave it. I like the spiral. And then put it down on the pan. Okay, leaving a little bit of space. Let's scoot it over a little bit on each side because it will expand. And if you think you made it too long, you can just kind of tap it shorter. So let's make 2 more. And if you have any dough left over from this, you can make another loaf depending on how big, how much you have left, or make a couple biscuits. There we go. And I'm just twisting it as I do it. There we go. There's another one. Now, I have the oven already preheated. Let's see, yeah, I can use one more. This one's going to be a tad thinner. The cool thing about this recipe is you can make a lot of different things with it. You can do the sandwich bread, you can do biscuits. There we go. Well, that's a little longer than I want it to be. So, can you see that? I'm gonna fold it back over like that and kind of cinch those together like that. And do the same on this side, and then start again. You can always correct it, but be careful the more times you do it, the denser it can become, the bread. So, there's the 3 sub rolls. So, I'll let you know when they're done.